in Mount Waverley, proudly representing this fantastic home and opportunity for your bidding here today, represented today by our listing agents Wade and Jacob, and also in the crowd is Anne. They're here to help you with any questions you may have in regards to the contract and Section 32 that's been on display for the last half an hour and indeed throughout the campaign itself. They're also here to help you with your bidding. Should you want some help with your bidding, they can call out bids on your behalf as well and help guide you towards hopefully a sale and you coming in to sign contracts in the next 10 or so minutes. The format for today's auction is fairly simple. I'm going to read through the key terms in the contract, talk through the rules, talk a bit about the home and opportunity. Then I'm going to open up and call for any and all of your competitive bidding. The property we are selling is known as Lot 1 on Plan of Subdivision 347921. In Certificate of Title, Volume 10463, Folio 519, or more commonly known to you and I as 1 at 86 Batesford Road here in Chadstone. Today's sale does include all the fixtures and fittings, so basically everything stuck is staying with the property here today, and we are selling via a public auction whereby a 10% deposit is required. However, you could pay $20,000 today. The balance of the 10% can come through on Monday. Settlement terms 30 to 45 days unless we've made any other prior arrangements with you. And we'll honour those prior arrangements, otherwise 30 to 45 days is the settlement terms as well. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that were made available before the start of today's auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for the property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors do have a reserve price, as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request, and the law prohibits false bids, major disruptions by bidders, and bidders preventing others from bidding, and provides fines for such conduct. The rules today do permit vendor bids. The words during the auction are used to make a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I as the auctioneer can make a vendor bid. Pretty straightforward with the rules and the terms. Again, if you've got any question, now's the time to kind of raise your hand and our staff members will come over and have a quick chat before we get underway. Before we get underway, I want to talk to you briefly about the home and opportunity that is here for you as well. We have a corner allotment, of course, of some approximately 366 square metres of land, so you've got opportunity not only for today but also for tomorrow. The opportunity to build a large dwelling, home, townhouse if you like in the future, subject to council approval, of course, is that option. Otherwise, the home itself right now can be lived in or rented out depending on your plans, whether you're starting out looking for an investment or future opportunity to build down the track. This certainly ticks all those boxes in a great location as well. Beautiful timber floorboards, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom that's been updated as well. The kitchen been updated as well with that induction cooktop as well and range hood, and a nice spacious lounge room with the split system just in front here. Carport here off Batesford Road, just off tucked in here, so you've got your off-street parking, an ample size block as I mentioned, and of course location, as I just pointed out earlier, A1 in terms of location because your amenities nearby. Hopes Glen just around the corner. Chadstone Shopping Centre, if you dare spend your time and money there, only about 5 minutes away from here on driving distance. Mount Waverley Village not too far, the Glen as well, and about 15 or so minutes to the CBD from here as well on a good run. So location in the southeast of Melbourne, absolutely excellent. Opportunity now and into the future, excellent, but it's up to that person who puts their hand up and secures it before we knock it down to come sign contracts and seek that future out. How I sell, I call 3 times. First, second, third, final call when the hammer hits the contract. Like so, we are sold. I cannot take a bid or offer after that takes place, so make sure that you've given your very best before that happens. Bidders, buyers, 1 at 86 Batesford Road. I'm in your hands. You start me where you like. I'll be guided by you in your hands from here. Start where you feel comfortable. Don't worry about being nervous. You've got to still put your hand up or call it out to bid here and to buy it. So you might as well be brave and bold. Let other buyers know you've come to buy. It's the key. You start me where you're comfortable. Otherwise, I start and I might start higher than what you'd like me to. So it's up to you. You kick things off where you're comfortable. 690, and welcome, madam, with your bidding. Good luck with your bidding here this evening as well, this afternoon as well, or morning, sorry. 690, your bid. That's 690,000, a good solid bid to start us off. 710's a good place to go from here, or 700 from there. I'll take it at 690,000. Lady on my left is in front. That's 690,000 now, a good solid start now and against all other parties. Otherwise, I work with madam here.
Take 10.
I'll take 10. 700 in front now. That's 700,000 now in front here. Good luck also with your bidding and back against madam if you'd like to go further. 700. 710 if you wish. That's 700,000 here. At 700,000 now in front on my left-hand side, and against Madam or any other party as well. At 700,000 is the bid. At 700,000 now, 710 can I say? At 700,000 I call 3 times. First call. 710 in front here, new bidder, 710 then. At 710, 720 here or here if you like, 710 is here. At 710,000 now in front, new bidder here. At 710,000 now, 720 can I say? First call. 720? Yep. 720 now, new bidder on my right hand side at 720 here. At 720,000 now. At 720 now, lady on my right's in front here. At 720 is the bid. 730 here. 730 now. At 730,000's here. At 730,000 in front. Against here or anywhere else as well. 730's in front. At 730,000 now on my left hand side here. 4 people in it now. 730's the bid. At 730,000. I check in on all parties now. At 730,000 up the back. What we done? 735. I'll take you 35. 740. She rounds it up. At 740 now. At 740,000 in front. We go 745. I feel like you're talking to me, but you've obviously got someone in your ear. Yeah. Mum's there for guidance. At 740,000 though, we're in front here on my left-hand side. At 740,000 now. First.
Another 5.
745.
750.
750. At 750. At 750,000 now.
We're on the market.
On the market and selling to you if there's no better bid at 750,000. At 750 in front and selling. Crystal clear. We sell away from here.
Another 5.
755.
760.
760. Good bid, madam. 760 now. At 760,000 in front. At 760,000. All parties have the opportunity now.
Another 5.
765, madam.
770.
770 straight back. 770 now. 2 parties in it at the moment at 770. Madam's in front. Need to know if we're going to go further. Otherwise, do we start counting down to knock it down at 770? First call.
At 5.
775.
780.
780. 785. 80's here. At 780,000. First call. At 780,000.
Another 5.
785. At 785. Surely not done yet, madam. 785. Maybe a good strong bid. At 785's the bid. 786, 1,000. That's not a big strong bid. 786, but I take it. And back here, 786. At 786,000. Someone can round me up to 790 would be good from here. But
Another 1.
787. 790. Up the back. Good bid. At 790,000 now. At 790,000. Up the back.
Another 1.
791. We go to 795. 791. All the action here on my left. 791. First call. Second.
792.
795, the higher bid at the back. 795. That's 795 now. 800 be a good bid from here. Prepare for
Another
it.
1.
796. 798. That's 798. That's 798,000 with Madam from the start. That's 798,000. Yeah.
Another 1.
799. 800. At 800,000 now, round numbers, don't let them scare you. At 800,000 is the bid though. At 800, she has it now. I check in with all parties before we count it down. At 800, are we in or out, Mum? Done. Thinking. In front here, there's another one left in this. 800's the bid. She's thinking 2. In front here. 801. At 801. 801,000.
Another 1.
802. 802. 803. At 803. 804. 804. 804 the bid. Give you a little bit of time to think before we count it down, but 804 is the bid here. 804,000, first call. 805. 806. 806. 806,000 here. All other parties here, and I'll check in on you, I won't forget. 806 is here. 806,000, I count it down again, ready to go. First call at 806,000. 807. 808. 808 straight back. Fast bid's the way to go at 808's the bid here. Consultation. 808's the bid. First call at 808. 810.
Another 1.
811. You ran up to 815. 811's the bid. 811 now as it grows tense between all parties at 811 the bid here. At 811,000 we count it down again. First call. At 811. Second call.
And 1.
812.
Another 1.
813. 813 in front. 815.
Another
Round
1.
the bin. 816. 816 now. At 816. First call. At 816. 17. 18. 20. 21. 821. 821 the bid here. At 821,000 in front here on my left. First call at 821. Second call.
At 1.
822. 823. At 823. First call again at 823. Second.
At 1.
824. 825. A separating bid sounds like the way to go for either side. I'd say at 825's the bid. Otherwise you work out a plan you can all live together. At 825. First call.
At 1.
826.
Another 1.
827. Think about strategy. 827's the bid here. Get ready to count down again at 827 the bid. First call. At 827. Second call. At 827. 828. 829. 830. Or are you going to make me call and count it down to the last? 829. Have to do it then first. 830. 831. 831. 831 first call. 831 second call. Third.
At 1.
32.
500.
832 and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. 832 and a half. That's as low as we'll go. My maths is not good enough. 832 and a half. 833 if you want to round it straight up. 832 and a half. First call.
Round it up.
833
500.
and a half. 833 and a half. First call. 833 and a half. Second call.
35.
835. Good bid. 835
500.
and a half. 835 and a half. First at 835 and a half. Second call. Third
At 500.
836
500.
and a half. 836 and a half. First call again. 836 and a half. Second call.
Round it up.
837. 837 now.
38.
838. At 838. First call again at 838,000.
At 500.
838 and a half. Down straight to 840. 839. Do you want to round me straight to 840 then? Maybe the round number does the trick. I don't know. You could try. 839. First call at 839. 840.
500.
840 and a half. 840 and a half. First call at 840 and a half. Second call
500.
841.
Yep, same.
841 and a half. Suggest the stronger bids. Wado 841 and a half the bid. $841 and a half. First call. Second. 845. 845 and a round up bid. 845 now.
500.
And a half. Staying with you. 845 and a half. 845 and a half. First call. Second call at 845 and a half. Third. Final call. Are we done? Finished? Permission from you to knock it down here and here. 845 and a half. Are we out? Need to know 100% done and dusted. Checking my shoulder. She says no. We say no in front here. Up the back at 845 and a half. We sell away then if there's no better bid. First. Second. Third. Final call. All finished, silent done at 845 and a half. We're selling 846. Madam, back in.
Another 5.
846 and a half, madam. 846 and a half. 847. Round it up, I'd say, is the way to go. 847, maybe the stronger bid now is my suggestion. 847 is the bid here. 847 now. Do we go straight to
500.
847 and a half. Maybe same suggestion, madam. What about 850, 847 and a half the bid here? Maybe it's the separator. At 847 and a half is the bid here. At 847 and a half now, otherwise we count it down and sell it here at 847 and a half. First call. Second call. Third. Final call. All finished and done. Selling at 847 and a half. 48.
Another 500.
48 and a half. 848 and a half. She says, let him have it. I don't know what she means by that. 848 and a half. First call. At 848 and a half. Second call. Third. Final call. All finished done. At 848 and a half. We are selling. 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 849
Another 500.
and a half. 849 and a half. I said we'd get to 850. You could just pull the trigger now and we get there. 849 and a half the bid. Call it your last if you like. 849 and a half. This time I count it down, madam. We've got to go at 849 and a half. It's against you. First. Second. Third. Final call. All finished and done at 849 and a half. I've got to double check in. Are we done? I sell it there. You okay? Will you yell at me later? 849 and a half. Or we'll just go to 850 or I sell there. I need to know now though. I've got about 7 seconds for you. At 849 and a half. First, second, third, final call. All finished and done. Madam, I'm going to sell it over here. 850. 500 and a half. You said that before, madam. Unless I see you leaving, I don't trust it. 850 and a half. First. Second, third, final call. Selling. Selling. She said no 3 times. Okay. Congratulations, we are sold. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending another Ray White auction. Have a fantastic weekend.